just doesn't feel like I have control. I'm trying to make some babies now. The point of death.
So, bro, here's my question.
Yeah.
If you were to meet a particularly attractive female.
Yep.
Today, tomorrow, the next day.
Yeah.
What like ideally for you, how long do you think is like waiting to have like sexual interaction?
Sexual interaction. Did you really just say sexual interaction?
Hold on. Let's what do they call it? What's the P word?
Intercourse?
Not intercourse.
P word?
Yeah, I watched The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
He says it all the time. Sheldon.
Promiscuous?
No. God damn it! I can't think of it.
Prude?
No. Hold on. Now I gotta look it up because I'm an asshole.
You don't have to look it up.
Okay, fuck it. But yeah.
I mean,
fucking.
you can if you want, but I don't see the point.
No. It's just a funny word.
Okay, so say that again?
Meeting a new woman, like, you know, walking down the street, you happen to glance and you see this absolutely drop-dead gorgeous woman who you cannot refuse speaking to.
Yeah.
And
this fucking energy shit is dope. This neuro gum.
Yeah,
do
man.
You want some?
Yeah, please, thank you.
I'll do the neuro gum, and then I add some super mush.
Some mushies.
Yep. Got lion's mane and reishi and chaga.
Yeah, they're supposed to be great for you, the lion's mane.
Lady Gaga. Yeah, grapefruit.
Lady Gaga.
Mine and shit.
So what would ideally be the time that you would wait?
Like how long?
Yeah.
So I meet a girl. It depends. It depends if like. It depends how much I really like her. It depends. You know how like I described in an episode that, you know, I don't feel like I have control over who I like fall in love with.
Right.
Really, I really don't feel like I have much control over that at all, because it just doesn't feel like I have control. You know.
I don't think any of us do.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Yeah, based on how we're raised and what our parents look like, and you know what the boy's mother looks like, you're going to be inclined to look for a girl similar to what your mother acted like and looks like. So if she fits all of those characteristics, I'm trying to smash right away, man. I'm trying to make some babies now.
Word.
Fucking dunzo.
Love it.
But for her, like, what do I expect from her?
Yeah.
I don't know, wait like a date or two. You know?
That's reasonable.
Yeah, I think it says something. But at the end of the day, like, it all depends. Like, you can tell the difference between her wanting to smash,
Yeah,
like, right away because she's a slut, versus her just is, like, in love with you.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
is, like, putting out because she just loves you. Like that, you know?
Agreed.
Or at least you think that. You can kind of, at least I feel like I can kind of tell the difference. So it's fine if it's the second one, but if it's the first one, it's like, nah. You know, I'm not much interested in girls that are just fucking everybody.
Yeah, giving it to everybody.
Yeah, it's like, you did that with me. Okay, well, what about, you know, how many other times does that happen?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of my thing. Again, just like with most things, for me, it's highly dependent on the situation, and it's never going to be one single answer. It's always going to be, you know.
I think that's very reasonable, because I would tend to feel the same way. The reason I ask though is, like, I've got not small children, but children of the teenage, you know, area, like, and it's weird because, you know, I try to be
They're not putting out for you?
Sons of bitches. Dude, I keep trying. Someday. No, but dude, like, I see the way that their relationships are kind of going, and like.
There you got one.
Yeah, thank you. I don't like get into or like pry into their business.
Yeah.
More than they're willing to voluntarily share, but It's very apparent that like this day and age, it's different from when I was
Oh, it's
a
bad.
teenager, bro.
It's so bad.
It's crazy.
Dude, there are like kids, there are like fucking 16-year-old boys that have higher body counts than me. like
I'm sure.
like by a long shot.
Yeah.
There are probably 14-year-old girls that have like double
Yeah.
to triple the body count of me.
I'm sure, dude.
That's terrifying.
It's awful.
That is absolutely terrifying. I like yeesh.
Yeah. Yeah.
What
like
the
I'm
fuck,
not
man?
waiting for marriage or anything, and I never would or did, but like the difference is so incredibly drastic.
It's scary. You mind if I hit that?
Yeah, please.
It's scary.
It's very scary,
So
man.
your kids,
Yeah,
are you implying that they're a bunch of sluts?
I mean, they could be.
Have you noticed that kind of?
No, no.
Okay.
Thankfully not. No.
Well, actually, it's kind of interesting because there's a big contrast actually
How
with
so?
kids today. You have almost like two completely opposite zones of kids or categories of kids where this one category or zone or group of kids and I don't think it's anything to do with age or anything.
Yeah.
It could be the region in which they grew up with. It could be the scenario. It could be the like the setting, the environment.
Yeah.
Largely, it's always the environment with everything. So I would argue that it's probably almost definitely the biggest, if not one of the biggest, variables would be the environment. But two different groups. One is almost entirely like celibate, not voluntarily. There are a lot of kids that are not having sex at all.
Yeah.
A lot of boys that just, a lot of guys that aren't having sex at all. Like
Yeah.
that's a very common thread, especially in like just in all of the communities, like the red pill and the regular and the whatever, all the pills and non-pills and fucking pipes and whatever.
Right,
I don't
right.
even know. Very common for many for vast groups of men and boys to have never had sex, to have never gotten to any basics.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Very common.
I've observed a little bit of that.
In one way, for one reason or another, and also at the same time, on the other side, like I said, there are kids that have gotten double or triple my body count by the time they're like 16.
Right.
So you've got this gigantic contrast between like too much and too little.
Right, right.
And it's well, who's to say too little or too much? But like I could definitely say too much, but you can't really say too little because that's
Right, right.
religion comes into play, and
I get what you're saying.
But yeah, it's interesting. I would love to kind of have some statistics on the environmental factors that would lead individuals or that would cause such a distinction between crazy high body count and crazy low body count, if any.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny that you say that because I would never have like factored that in, but like
Factored what in the environment?
Yes. Yeah.
Environment's the most important thing, period, man. Have you ever heard of the Rat Park? I think I mentioned it before.
If you did, I don't recall.
Yeah. If anything, it's hard to tell. A lot of the times, it's hard to tell if what we talked about, because we've talked for like so many times. This is largely why I wanted you on this, as like my main co-partner on this.
Right on.
Was because anytime we would hang out, we'd always have so much to talk about.
Yes.
And we'd go so deep. And I have a few other friends that very similar.
Hell yeah.
So it's hard. So where I'm getting at is like it's hard to tell if what we talked about was prior to podcasting
Right.
or after, you know, or
Yes.
during. So that's really what I mean when I say I don't know if I've talked about this or not. And also, you know, it could have been like during podcasting as well that I'm not sure of.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so this is actually one of the coolest studies ever, in my opinion, and this is something that that I'm gonna use. Ooh, ashwagandha. Yo, I'm gonna get some of it. You want some ashwagandha?
No, I'm good. Thank you, though.
Ashwagandha is so good, dude. It makes me feel like almost high, kind of.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's like a really nice.
I've heard a lot of great things about it. For sure.
I told my dad about it. I'm like, yo, try some of this stuff. It's got ashwagandha in it. And he's like, I don't want any ashwagandha. I'm like, well, fucking guy.
That's funny.
All right, so
Yeah, you weren't sure if we talked about the rat park.
Sorry, I was trying to blow an O.
No, you're chilling, dog.
It's hard to blow when I've got this thing in the gum.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, dude, you were killing it the other day.
Anyway, so rat park.
Yep.
So for the longest time, I don't know if you've heard about the experiments where ugh, fucking annoying nose. I've had a runny nose for the past fucking I feel like consistently for like years. It's just always runny.
Bro, that fucking pollen shit got me for those last couple weeks.
Yeah, I don't have any allergies that I'm like aware of that like so far.
Thankfully.
Yeah, I guess, but like I think it's just a change in temperature and the weather and it's like thundering out and shit.
Oh, absolutely.
I don't know.
It's been wild out lately.
But so the rat park. So there were many there was an experiment done a long time ago. Might have been in like the 60s or some shit.
Okay.
Or even earlier, where and I'm sure you've heard of this, perhaps not, where there are two things, one's like water and one's like cocaine.
Yes.
Or morphine or something. I think it was cocaine. And they got a choice, and eventually, so they would try both, and they tried the cocaine, and they literally, mind you, they're in a cage, and they've got like the rolly thing and whatever. They would choose that. You mind fucking
gotcha.
silencing that shit, man? It just kicks me out of my
Sorry, homie.
flow state.
Yeah, that fart.
So you've got two different things. One is cocaine infused water, another is just pure water.
Yep.
And they have food and stuff. And the rat would literally choose, it would take the cocaine once and then it would continue doing it until it died.
Yeah.
Like it would take the cocaine until it died. And they concluded that cocaine is so addictive that you will literally do it until you die. Like that's how addicted. Like you will choose it over life. You'll choose it over water.
That's pretty intense.
And food. It is intense.
Yeah.
Now later on, I had my own thoughts about that, but this guy also had his own thoughts similar to mine. And so what he thought was, okay, that's interesting. But where was this rat in? You know, what was the environment of the rat? And it turns out the environment of the rat was that he was in a fucking cage. He was in a prison.
Right.
Right? He was in a fucking prison. So no shit, he's gonna take the cocaine because he has no other things that give him dopamine or that give him happiness. It's, you know, you're gonna take something because you're in solitude, you're solitary confinement, just like humans, you know. That's the worst kind of torture you could do to somebody.
Yes. Solitary is terrible, bro.
Yeah. So, man, you're still on that shit. Even when you silence it.
Something important.
So, so anyway, this guy came to, he brought up that question. and he said, okay, well, what if we create everything that a rat wants? What if we give it
Right.
everything that a rat needs and wants? So Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You've got shelter, food, water, and then you've got love. So you have to have other rats, the ability to play with other rats, all of these things. What if we provide all of this to the rat? Now, granted, it would still be in some kind of a cage because it can't be like totally free. Although that would be a good third experiment, is if you had it almost like completely open,
Right.
and you get like sensors in them. Elon's got Neuralink shit, so you could kind of do that in some way.
Yeah.
But basically, what he concluded. So you've got a bunch of rats now. It's a park. They've got their
little wheel thing.
Yep, the wheel. They've got all of this stuff. And back to the beginning, they've got, it was like 2 or 3 things. I think it was morphine was this one.
Okay.
But let's say it's cocaine, morphine, and water. We'll say 3 of them.
Yep.
Doesn't really matter that much. The point of the point of it is that these rats, now mind you, now it's not just one rat, it's many rats, it's all the rats.
Yep.
What he found out was, and the conclusion to this was that the rats would come up and taste the drugs, and it's like every once in a while they would try it, but for the most part they would never really go back to it. They wouldn't do it every day. They wouldn't, just like a person,
right?
Like it's a person that has what they
like their wants and needs filled or whatever.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, a person that's content with their needs and wants. And it just showed that it's not the individual that could cause addiction. It's the environment that would lead you to become more or less prone toward addiction. Like if you're isolated by yourself, you're going to be way more prone to addiction, even if you have food and housing and all of these things, but you don't have, you're not socializing, or you're not doing something purposeful, or you're not with, like a partner or something. You're not developing some kind of loving relationship.
Right.
Or if you're not, if you're not doing gangbangs at least 3 times a week.
Right. It's very important.
That is an essential part of life,
Absolutely.
So the environment was the biggest factor that determined whether or not you are an addict or not. Or it was the biggest determining factor of whether or not you're more prone to addiction, or you're more prone to become addicted to this thing. It increases the addictive properties of this thing based on your environment. That blew my mind. And it made sense, though.
It does make sense.
It makes so much sense. So in this reality where we're at, instead of trying to fix, and I talked about like the feeling generators last time, and how like you can treat cocaine addiction, but if you give them sugar or nicotine or any other thing that releases dopamine, it's literally trading one drug that releases dopamine, cocaine, for another drug that releases dopamine, like sugar or nicotine or any of these other things.
Right.
So you're not solving the problem. You're not solving the dopaminergic addiction.
Yes.
You're just moving from one thing to another, and you're not progressing in any way whatsoever. The best way to progress through this is the community. You change the environment. You develop a community. You develop a tribe. You develop all of these, the socializing factors, the relationship factors, the exercise factors, the purpose factors. What are you doing for your community? Are you, you find that which you truly enjoy, that which you're truly good at, that which the world needs, and that which you can get paid for, the IKIGAI, the spectrum of all that is purposeful, and you basically like you put that into a community.
Yeah.
You kind of like you just create a community that that caters to building a purposeful lifestyle, you know, or at least purposeful again is like a magical word,
For
but
sure, yeah.
you build a community and an environment. You build the environment, you create the community, and you basically like propagate and kind of like lift up all of the beneficial factors within that could lead to, you know, a healthy life.
Yeah.
And that's how you get rid of the need for addiction, because it's really like a need.
Right.
It's not really like a want. It's your body and your brain. Addiction doesn't just come out of nowhere unless you have like a tumor or you have like a traumatic brain injury, or even
Sure.
even with those situations though.
It's not like an automatic, right?
Well, it can be an automatic, but it's not. It's not like that's the solution. It's just that's the only solution that you found immediately.
Right.
But if you were to just switch it from like cocaine or opiates or whatever to a relationship,
Yeah, like a healthy, loving relationship.
yeah, or a community or whatever,
Yeah.
or something purposeful that you're building, like you're creating a business together, or you're doing a podcast, or you're doing jiu-jitsu or Muay Thai or something that releases all of those endorphins.
Hell yeah.
And through that you build community and all of this stuff.
Right.
Watching UFC fights on the weekend with people, and you'll find real quickly that I don't really care about cocaine or this stuff. Now, because you're getting that from... Now, again, you're still substituting one thing that releases chemicals
Yes.
for another thing that releases the same chemicals. But the difference is the one thing, the cocaine, was not necessarily healthy.
Yeah.
And the other is
Right,
very
right.
healthy. And it can... And now, granted, I'm not anti-drugs.
Yeah.
Like, in fact, I'm pro-drugs mostly. I think you should be able to do whatever the fuck you want to do so long as you're not hurting anybody else or impeding on their freedoms.
I think that's fair.
I think that's as fair as it can be,
Right.
you know?
Right.
Just don't hurt anybody else and impede on their freedoms and do whatever the fuck
Absolutely.
you want to do.
Absolutely.
But in fact, I feel like drugs they're not bad. They can be negative to
Yeah.
yourself. You can do harm to yourself if used incorrectly and, you know, too
Yep.
much. But for
But-
the most part, I see them as tools to
Sure.
at least I utilize. Now, I'm not saying I do drugs at all.
Right.
Because you know, me? Nah.
Do I look like the type
But-
of individual that would do that?
But at the end of the day, if I were to, I would be using them. Now, back in the day, I used drugs just to get fucked up. But eventually, I got bored of that.
Yeah.
And I wanted to learn more about myself and my own consciousness and my place in this universe and multiverse and dimensional whatever, this life,
Yeah.
this existence. And I began using drugs or things, plants, whatever, as tools to explore more of my own consciousness from within and the world around me and the environment from, you know, internally and externally.
Absolutely makes sense.
Yeah. But that was the Rat Park experiment. It showed that it had nothing to do with the drug and the individual. It was the environment.
Yep.
And these are rats. So it's there aren't many variables with this, you know.
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
it's either addicted or it's not, you
Right.
know. So it's very like cut and dry, like it's pretty linear, you know. It's pretty like this is it, this is not it.
Yeah.
And the fact that immediately they just, because they're not, I'm not going to say they're subconscious like completely, but they largely just go, you know.
Sure.
They just do stuff, and you can manipulate them by putting different things in front of them,
Yeah.
you know, and they don't really necessarily know why or what's going on, but they'll go along with it. So it's about as unbiased as it could be with
Yeah,
these things,
I
you
would
know?
agree.
So when you have this giant difference between a prison and a park where like a paradise park,
Yeah.
and you see that this guy is totally addicted to the point of death, these rats will murder themselves because, and then you realize because they're in prison,
Right.
they're fucking in a cage forever and they have nothing to
Dude.
do, they have nobody to love, they have nothing to live for.
Yeah.
You see that all the time in this world with
Dude,
people.
you were painting a picture in my head. I'm sitting here thinking about that, like our everyday world as you're explaining this story, and dude, it just makes so much sense. You can take like your theories and apply them, and you look around, and it really becomes much more clear why, like certain places or certain things are the way they are. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It
Makes a
makes
lot of
so much sense. And it's almost
perfect.
like, it almost seems like, now, I don't want to like hypothesize
Yeah.
negatively, but it almost seems like we're being pushed. It almost seems like from the outside, motherfuckers are looking at us like we're the rats, and
Yeah.
they're slowly closing the rat. We lived in a rat in this giant paradise forever, and they're just slowly caging us in and taking out the social part, taking
Yes.
out the relationship, taking this out, feeding us terrible shit,
Where you're
and
left with no other choice.
where you're literally like, and then they give us the drugs. They give
Right.
us the antidepressants. They give us all of these things. They give
Damn.
us they basically hand us, the syringe or whatever.
Yeah.
And it's fascinating. And then you get into like, I mean, euthanasia.
Oh man.
It's
Yeah.
dude. Like if I were to speculate, really, it's that's what I would do if I were a psychotic asshole who had a fuck ton of power and wanted less people to live,
Yeah.
and I wanted to propagate more of my own bloodline,
Yep.
and all of my rich friends and whatever were all ruling over these different places and populations, and these people are just ants or rats, you could say, or sheep, but mainly rats.
Right. Right.
That's what
Perfect
I would do.
relation.
Yeah, that's what I would do. I would slowly condense it. I would give them foods and things that destroy their ability to procreate, or even if they did, they would be mutated and fucked up, and I would slowly close the environmental cages on them,
Yeah.
the proverbial cages, and I would increase the amount of workload
Yep.
to where, and the lack of good
Damn, dude.
information, and I would progressively incentivize the doctors to prescribe them stuff that will dull them out
Yep.
so that they're not aware of what's happening,
Sure.
to the point where eventually like they were in this beautiful paradise and
Right.
they were doled out for so long, 20, 30 years goes by, and now all of a sudden they kind of wake up a little bit, or they never wake up.
Right. Right.
And but for those that do wake up, they wake up and they're like, holy fuck,
Yeah,
I'm in a
what's this?
fucking cage. I'm in a literal prison.
Yeah.
I have no relationship, no loved ones, no this, no that, no social contact, no community, no tribe, no anything. And here's a gun right here,
Right.
loaded with my name on it. Bullets, the bullet has my name carved in it. And it's like, no
No
wonder.
Yes.
No
Yes.
fucking wonder. So that's where, so to make this even further,
Yep.
take the gun away.
Right.
Instead, add a governmental service provided, or a service provided from or by the government,
Sure.
that will voluntarily kill you
Yep.
if you want to. And that's euthanasia. Did you know that more
Jeez,
people
yeah.
died in Canada? This is terrifying. More people died in Canada from euthanasia than from all of the normal things combined.
everyday thing,
Like more people died from the government killing them than died in general in Canada.
That's
last
hard to
year.
believe, dude.
That's fucking terrifying.
That's awful, yeah.
The government of now, like, okay, fucking, allegedly,
Yep.
but like you can look this up. More people died allegedly, because I don't know the guidelines and all of this, but like you can look this up.
Yeah.
Statistics, how many people died in Canada versus how many people were euthanized in Canada. More people were euthanized than died naturally in Canada. I believe it was last year or when it first started. That is crazy. So when you add my thought experiment,
Yeah.
and you look at the cage, progressively becoming smaller with the person and all of the other stuff and the dulling of the senses and everything and the lack of this and then you, instead of adding a gun, you add a button, which is basically like, yeah, we'll take all of this pain away for you.
Yep.
We'll take it all away for you. It's like,
sad, bro.
that is a manufactured, allegedly, like to me, it seems like a manufactured way of of offing people. And
yeah, thin the herd.
And you could, to thin the herd. And you can actually look at it levels deeper. It's like, also, that's like organ harvest. You could take the organs now and sell them. It could be a lucrative process.
Wow.
If you've got
I didn't think of that.
I didn't think about it either until just now. It's like if you've got 100,000 people, that's 100,000 hearts and all of these organs going on.
Yeah.
Stem cells, like blood. You can get. That's a lot of
anything. Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking money.
Bro.
That you can get secondarily to that. Now, I don't know if that's the primary function or not, but it's like that sure as fuck is the primary funding, like external to the situation, because that costs money to kill somebody, and do all of that.
Yeah.
Right. So, but it is to them apparently. I'm guessing. I don't know if it is. How shitty would it be if they fucking charge you for them to kill you? It's like, you're gonna be in debt and your family's gonna have to pay for it forever. But we'll kill you for yourself.
Do you need it up front?
Yeah, right.
Checks in the mail.
Yeah. Can I take a loan out?
Yeah.
But it's like, dude, what the fuck?
Yikes.
Crazy. And that makes you wonder about sorry to interrupt, and I've been going on forever now, but
good reason.
Thank you. I mean, I'm very much passionate about this, and I've thought about this shit. That makes you also wonder about the bringing in and letting in, basically opening the border for all these people. It's like, that's another amazing potential for organs and all of these things. Like, so many of them go disappear and go missing.
Yes.
And it's like, not only is it a trafficking kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But it's also just as much an organ thing, and all of these. There's just so much.
There's a lot of potential there for sure. Yeah.
It's crazy. Dude. Anyway, I didn't want to bring up the second part to that, like the border shit, but I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
Nor I at all.
All of that for like time after, like time meeting, like before sex and after.
Yeah, right.
So what about you? How long are you waiting, or how long?
Oh, dude. Well, I'm probably going to be a bit jaded there, because
if she wants you to go to if she's like, yo, let's go to the bathroom, fucking right now on the first date.
Yep.
You just meet, you have a drink. It's like, yo, let's go to the bathroom and fuck right now. What are you thinking?
Chances are yes.
Yeah.
Very good possibility.
Are you marrying that chick though, or
no?
Yeah.
No. Two different classes of candidate there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm all for having a good time or whatever. But this is also coming from a man who has been with the same woman for over 20 years, right?
Yeah.
So, like, something new and exciting would obviously be very tempting for me.
For sure.
Which, I mean, realistically, I'm sure it is for everyone, Yeah. I don't think I'm special in that regard, but, no, I also don't believe that to be the wisest decision, Right. It could potentially have some repercussions that you may not like. But
Yeah, like
um,
fucking, you
creepy
know,
crawlies,
yeah, like crabs
some
and,
gooey bumps.
yep,
Yikes!
yep.
Right. Um,
But
but
hey, you might like that. You know, some people are into that shit.
yeah, you never know, man.
Yep.
No, but realistically, I would say out of that context, I'm more of the type to be like traditionally to like wait, you
How
know,
long? What do you mean, wait?
uh, till I know that we're like at least kind of vibing on the same frequency, and I see what type of person you are, your values, and we've been out a few times, so I would say, you know, roughly
3
2
dates?
weeks.
2 weeks?
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean
How
you
many
can.
dates is that usually?
I don't know.
Maybe 4 dates? Could
Yeah,
be two
couple,
dates.
couple. Um, I mean, it would have to be minimum 2 dates.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? First one to kind of just like test the waters, and the second one to see if we can like connect, kind of thing, or
Yep.
um,
How shitty would it be if, because there are a lot of people, not a lot of people, but there's a sect of people that like wait until marriage,
dude,
and it's like, how shitty would it be if you like wait until marriage and you have no sexual chemistry at all with the other
right,
person?
right,
Like that,
and now you're kind of stuck.
yeah,
That's tough.
yeah, that's crazy. And there are a lot of so this is another thing is like the birth control thing.
What about
Birth
it?
birth control is so bad for you, for the women.
Yeah, yeah,
It literally is hormones. It's hormone replacement therapy.
yep.
It's literally just it's tricking the girls' bodies into thinking and brains into thinking that they're pregnant. So it's like it's basically literally giving them hormones. Um, and it changes their neurochemistry. It changes the way that they think. It changes the guys that they are into now. It changes everything.
Yeah,
So typically, they might be more inclined to be into, this kind of guy, like a more masculine guy. But then when they take birth control, and this is very common, they tend to be more into a more of a feminine guy. And the reason for that is because they, once you have the kid, now you need somebody to look after the kid and have more of like kind of like a more feminine role, looking after and all of that.
I know what you mean.
Whereas before you need super masculine because you need to make sure that he's gonna save you.
Yep,
He's
yep.
gonna fight and kill anybody that is gonna be able to hunt for food. He's gonna be able to do all these masculine things.
Right.
But then when you have the kid, or when they have the kid, or at least when they're in the process, no, it's actually after they have the kid, then everything changes to like, okay, now, and it's for a time, like it's for a certain amount of time, and then they go back to whatever
Yeah.
that is. But so this is a common thing with women that are on birth control. Now, granted, if you're waiting until marriage, you're not going to really be on birth control anyway, I don't
Right.
think.
Probably not.
Yeah, I don't see a point. Plus, that would, if it's for religious purposes, I think birth control would be anti-religious anyway.
I think it is at least some religions.
Yeah, but my point, and this is real, this like blew my mind when I heard this, was
Was good.
when I read these studies, was that there's a large, very, very, very large amount of women, or percentage of women, that are on birth control, right? And they find a guy, get married to the guy, and want to have kids with the guy, so they get off of birth control, and then they realize that they don't like this guy at all.
Oh no.
They don't want him at all, because the birth control was tricking them into thinking that they wanted somebody that they didn't really want. So when they got off of the birth control, then their true self came
Yeah.
out, and their true wants and needs came out, and they realized, oh fuck, this isn't at all who I want. So it's
Never
very
mind.
common. Not, I wouldn't say, I don't know how common exactly. I don't know the exact statistical percentages, but like
Yeah.
it's pretty common for women who were on birth control, that got married on birth control, or at least that were in relationships while they were on birth control, and when they got off of the birth control for one reason or for another, typically to have kids, they then left the guy because
Damn.
they on birth control, their body is like, yeah, we're gonna look for a more feminine guy, or just doesn't have to be feminine, but just a different kind of guy.
Yeah.
And then when they're off of it, they're looking for a different kind of guy.
Yep.
From the first, so it just switches everything.
Yeah, dude.
So anytime there's a girl that I like, or I'm inclined to that I get that like, whoa, I love you,
Yeah.
let's have kids, blah blah blah. I always ask them, are you on birth control?
Very smart. I like that.
Yeah, and if she denies me, then I'm like, okay, well, it was the birth control.
Yeah.
No, I'm kidding, but kind of.
Yo.
I mean, it's definitely a good excuse in my head, but really, if they're on birth control, I'm like, nope, I'm okay, thanks.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah, well, it's not that I'm against girls on birth control, and it's not that I'm against
I understand.
dating girls on birth control, but that's a very real. They're on hormone replacement therapy. They're on steroids, like, in a way.
Yeah.
Literally, they're taking, like estrogen or whatever. I don't know if it's testosterone or estrogen, or it's one of those that's tricking their body into thinking that it's pregnant all of the time.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah, man.
It's so impactful
Sounds like it.
on their brain chemistry, biochemistry. I can't imagine if it does that. I can't imagine all the other consequences of such.
I was just gonna say, dude, I wasn't specifically aware of that realm of the birth control, like of the effects that you're speaking of, but dude, I've heard plenty others that are also very detrimental to the woman that's taking it.
It's nutty.
Yeah, dude, it is. I don't like birth control just because I feel like, if you're going to have unprotected sex, then you know what you're doing, and I feel like,
Wait, what? Say that again?
I'm not a fan of birth control, you know what I'm saying?
Why not?
Well, because, like, obviously accidents happen.
Yeah.
But we're all pretty aware that if you have unprotected sex, you're more than likely going to have a child. Like, you're definitely raising the probability.
Yeah, especially if you're younger.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And more, like, fertile and stuff. I don't like it. It's very simple for me in that regard. Like, if you're going to do it and you're doing it that way, then you know what to expect.
Okay.
You can't, like, just...
Do you like wearing a condom, though?
Well, of course not.
Okay, so
I don't think anyone does.
Right. It's not great.
No.
So if you could get away from that with her just being on birth control,
Yeah.
wouldn't that be, like,
It's logical.
best
Makes
of both
sense.
worlds? You're not going to have a kid, and aside from her potentially tricking you, and that's
Right.
a whole other issue.
Right.
But that's a different thing. That's not really what we're talking about. So I get what you're saying, but at the same time, I feel totally differently. I think
That's fair.
I don't want to wear rubber.
I see what you're saying.
So now, granted, I most of the time I will, depending.
Right.
But if I don't have to, and I know for sure that she's on birth control,
Yep.
that's way better.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah. So
I can agree with that.
I'm not opposed to it. But yeah, it's different. It's different for somebody that, like, you love and you want to, develop a relationship and potentially a life with. That's a whole other thing,
Excuse me. Yes, it is. I agree. I agree.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. So personality versus looks. What do you think?
Oh man, I think personality. Like, my personal opinion is that personality is far more important than looks. Like, you also have to have looks. I'm not gonna go after a straight dog.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it, bro.
Oh shit, son.
Dogs they can be kind of kinky.
Okay. Okay.
And they're they can be very quite loving.
They need their loving too. That's what you're telling me.
Dogs need to get doggy style also.
No, I would say it's probably like it's not 50-50. If I had to put a percentage or a number on it, I would say it's probably 70% personality and 30% looks for me. But if
Yeah.
you would have asked me that question, you know, 25 years ago or 20 years ago, that probably would not have been the answer you received.
What would it have been then?
When I was younger, and I think it's probably
Mostly
common.
looks?
Yeah, I mean, not 100%, but it was like, you know, very, very much biased towards the look side of things,
For sure.
unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
But
Still.
no, well, yeah, I mean,
No,
shit.
that doesn't really change too much.
No, I hear you, man. I hear you. But,
For me, at least. It hasn't. I mean, you have to, again, she doesn't have to be the most beautiful woman you've ever seen, but to me, she has to be beautiful from my own,
yes.
to me.
Beauty is more than skin deep, too, though, you know what I mean? Like, beauty is subjective, obviously, but,
Yeah. Well, that's where
know,
we get into the personality part.
right. That personality, I think, adds to beauty. You know?
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. It's, you can't have one without the other.
How about you? How do you feel?
Yeah, it's tricky. I would say maybe, yeah, probably 70-30.
Yeah?
Yep. Maybe, yeah, it really is, it really is hard to, like, quantify.
I hear you.
Because you can't really, like, what does that even really mean? Yeah, I would say, to be safe, it would be like 70-30.
Right.
I would love to have, like, just the greatest personality ever and have them be gorgeous. I would love to have that 50-50 thing.
Absolutely.
But,
I hear that.
yeah, I guess, like, if I had to, yeah, it would be like 70-30. Yeah. Yeah.
That's fair, man. That is pretty fair.
It definitely, actually, to me, I don't think it really has changed. I mean,
No?
you're always attracted, like the attractive part. You always want to be with girls that are attractive
Yeah.
to you, but for relationships, I felt like I've always kind of needed to, like, be attracted to them personality wise.
Yes.
Otherwise, it's just, like, annoying. They're just annoying.
Yeah, dude, I remember a specific situation, like, back when I was in high school, and I won't mention any names or anything, but it would be really
You
funny
won't.
if I did. If I did.
Jenny,
But,
slut.
who lives at, no, dude, so when I moved here, I didn't know anyone, obviously. You have to, like, kind of start all over again, and one of the things that I started over was pursuing females.
Ooh.
And so this one particular female I had, like, the biggest crush on, bro.
Okay.
Like, just instantaneously was attracted to her. Very, very pretty. Decent personality, at least initially, from outside looking in. And
Outside looking in. So tell me what you see.
dude, I approached this chick, and this is back in the days of like AOL and stuff, so it can kind of give you, like,
AIM.
yeah, dude.
I remember that.
Oh yeah, little fucking noise connecting you and stuff.
Yeah.
Dude, obnoxious. Yes. And then, God forbid, you pick up the phone while somebody's trying to do it.
Yeah.
But no, so
Mom, get off the fucking phone!
you just ruined. I've been trying to connect for 10 minutes.
I'm trying to have sex with this bitch. I'm trying to look up boobs.
Right. That's right. Come on, man.
Yeah.
No, so I approached her, and very odd, dude.
Approach her on AIM.
Yes.
Okay.
Like, we talked in school and stuff, but very infrequently. We didn't have, like, the same classes and stuff like that. But I met her.
How did you do with AIM? Like, were you good at that, or?
Nah, I mean, yeah, but, like.
I've always been a good writer.
Yeah.
But I never liked that. Like, I never liked... You just can't convey enough information,
Very fair.
you know?
Yes.
And you can't... Yeah, you can't convey enough emotion,
Right.
you know?
It's very different.
There's so much more involved with talking to somebody. Physical, like facial expression, vocal tone, you know,
Absolutely.
all of these things. You don't have any of that with words,
Right.
you know.
Right.
But yeah, okay. So,
yeah, no. So basically, I approached her
what was the first thing you said?
via internet.
Yo, slut.
Yo,
What it
slob
do?
on my knob. No, I don't know. This is a very long time ago, but I'll give you like the gist of it because that's really all I remember. But I expressed my interest, let her know that I was, you know, interested in pursuing some sort of relationship with her, and she also expressed the same feeling back. She, you know, was telling me she's, you know, attracted to me and, you know, yada 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 type stuff. But unfortunately, in the moment, she had a boyfriend. And so I'm like, okay, well, you know, what's that mean? And she's like, well, I don't want to mess with you now, but like when we break up,
What the fuck?
I'll hit you up.
That's so fucked up.
No, I swear to God, dude, and that's why it stuck with me.
When, not if, when we break up.
Right. And
That
not only
is so
that,
fucked up.
but like if you're genuinely interested in someone, you know, like, are you or are you not?
Right.
And for
It's
you to
very binary, one or the other.
yes, black or white, man, very simple, on or off, like, but it was very odd. It never happened before that, never happened after that, but it just kind of like showed the character and like the person who she was on the inside with that answer, like a very short sentence.
Probably also woke you up to the fact that there are women like that.
Yeah.
Like a new character, there's a new character, you know, in play.
Right.
In this life thing.
Dude.
And they are willing to just like use men and throw them away and pick up new ones as they see fit and as they want.
Dude, it was wild. And she tells me, she's like, yeah, I'll hit you up when so-and-so and I break up.
I plan on breaking up with him in, 15 days, 26 hours, or 23 hours, 38 minutes.
Dude, I had to tell her, thanks but no thanks. Like, that's not what we're going to do here. You know, I value myself more than that, and you should too.
Yeah.
But, yeah, man, that was an odd one for me. But, it helped me learn and figure out, like, what I'm actually looking for, what I'm after, and what to look for. And what to avoid. You know?
Did it work?
In some regards. I mean, I still make bad choices. But, I mean, we all do. It's, I guess the real question is do you learn from them, or do you continue to repeat the same mistakes over and over again?
Yeah. It's a common thread. People tend to repeat.
Yeah. Yep.
That's a common thing. It is what it is, man. But yeah, that's AIM. I remember those days.
Yeah.
It's I was always really shy to like I've always been very self-conscious.
Yeah.
Never thought I looked good. I was like, like my own worst enemy, I guess. Always, I just never thought anybody liked me, like any girls liked me.
Yeah.
So my confidence was just not there.
Right.
But with guys, it was all the way up,
Yeah.
I fucked all the guys. No, I'm
Got
kidding.
them all.
No, but like I was confident around guys. Like I
Right.
wasn't afraid to be myself. But around girls, I don't know. I really don't know what it was. I was just anxious.
Yeah, I think that's common though.
Yeah, it is common.
You know what I mean? Because I remember definitely feeling the same way for a while, but like I don't know what happened, but one day that switch just like, and it was gone.
Yeah, same. Yeah, same.
That's awesome.
Especially if she's like, if she hits all of the checks, I'm like, I'm fucking going. I will stalk this bitch. You know,
Yo.
it's like,
That's right. Which one's your bedroom window?
yeah, yeah. But yeah, AIM back in the AIM days.
Dude.
But there are a lot of there are a lot of I don't have any regrets about anything ever, but I definitely I missed out on a lot of like relationships
Yeah.
because of my fear for, and it wasn't a fear for like commitment. It was just an anxiety of, I guess it was of getting like shut down,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, which is of course is very common.
And it
But
sucks. It never feels good.
yeah, yeah, but yeah, because there have been many times where I would later, either drunkenly or intoxicated in some way, I would express to myself, "Hey, 5 years ago or 10 years ago or back in the day, I fucking really liked you."
Yeah.
And they would say, "Yo, I liked you too," and I'm like,
Why didn't you say
"Fuck!"
something? Right, right.
And yeah, if only I said something. It's tricky. It's a tricky thing. I'm sure AI will solve that in the future.
Right,
There
right.
will be some, like on your glasses, there will be a program where you can look at them and it'll say aroused.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And give you like
Or,
a status report.
yeah, or you could have like a program, like an app,
That'd be
like
convenient.
who likes me,
Right, right,
and
right.
it'll tell you, it'll show all of like their signs, their body language, vocal tone,
Yep.
and after like maybe a 10-minute or even maybe like a 2-minute conversation, it'll tell you
Right.
this person likes you. You
Potential.
have an 86% chance of
That'd be so dope.
it'll
Be
happen.
very helpful.
Let me
Yeah,
write that down.
I'm sure. Yeah, yeah, right, right.
Fucking what should I call it?
Uh,
App. This person likes you.
yeah, yeah, right. Simple, very simple.
This person likes you. App. Or Likeable.
Right, right, right.
That's good.
That'd be sick. Very simple, but to the point.
Likeable. Yeah, that would be a great app because that would get rid of all of the angst, and you could always say, if they denied you, you could always say, well, this thing said
Yeah,
that
bro,
you were
told
into
me
it.
100%
Yeah,
chance, dude.
it told me, so it was worth a try. You always have that to fall on.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that's the only thing that kind of like irritated me when looking back, was not shooting my shot, as much.
Dude,
You know?
of course. I like, one of the reasons we vibe well is because we both like to like talk and bounce ideas off each other.
Anal
And I mean,
sex.
anal. No, but dude, I was talking to this old timer at one of my jobs, and we were talking about women. Go figure. But dude, he said something to the effect of like, that dime piece, like you walk in the grocery store and you're standing in line and you see this like super baddie in front of you, and like, everybody's looking at her. We all feel the same way. Those are the women that will commonly be at home on a Friday or Saturday night.
Alone.
Alone.
Because nobody approaches them.
Everybody's scared.
Because they're too afraid, yeah.
Yes. And I found that very odd, but I would be willing to bet that's pretty accurate, man.
Kind of.
Yeah, I mean, there's always going to be somebody who's willing to, like, shoot that shot or whatever. But I would say that the percentage is probably lower because everyone's intimidated, or most people are intimidated.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
That's totally true. I always go about like every girl differently, but the more beautiful they are, the less likely I am to like hit on them.
Yeah.
The more likely I am to kind of play harder to get, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And pretend like I'm not into them at all. If anything, I'm less interested in them.
Yeah.
Because they expect all of this attention and they expect all of that. And for some reason that doesn't sit well with me internally. So I have this thing about that. But if anything, I'll like talk to their friend and act like I'm more interested in them, and I'll completely avoid them.
Yeah.
And then they'll be like mad at me, and then I'll like turn it back to them, and then
Right, right.
Psychological
You gotta play that
tricks,
game,
I
bruh.
guess. Games. That's
They're playing
another.
games for sure too, man.
Well, they're the queens at games.
Oh yeah.
Fucking Queen's Gambit.
Yeah, right.
Fucking 4D chess over here with these women. No joke, man. They
I hear
are
ya.
so great at gamifying this
Yeah.
fucking this social shit up.
It's not easy, man.
It's fascinating the way
That's-
in which.
No, go ahead. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
That-
I was just gonna say that's why I'm thankful that I mean, in some regards, that I don't have to really play that game anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but like, I don't mind playing I actually kind of enjoy the game, as long as there's a, like I've said this before many times, like, I'm down for the game. I actually kind of like the game,
Yeah.
as long as there's a finish line. You know?
Okay.
If there's no finish line and you're teasing me this whole time,
Right.
that's just a waste. You know?
That's kind of a good perspective. I like
But
it.
I enjoy the games. That's fun.
It can be fun, yeah.
Yeah. It's a fun little thing. But, all right, so I've got some interesting shit to show you.
Let's see,
So
man.
there was this thing out about
Wieners.
actually, yeah. Mostly, somewhat.
Mostly.
So microplastics found in every human semen tested by scientists.
Whoa, bro.
I mentioned this to you earlier, but
Yeah, but dude, how does it go from like being in our drinking water to like automatically being in our semen? I don't know.
well, what do you mean?
I mean, obviously you're putting it in your body, but
Yeah, you're ingesting it, therefore it becomes a part of you.
it's probably in everything.
Well, it is, but for example, so they scientific studies have shown that we ingest a credit card's worth of plastic every week.
A whole credit card.
Credit card of plastic every week.
That seems high.
Yeah,
That seems high.
a credit card a year
Right.
is insane.
Yeah.
A week, especially when you realize the absurdly terrible effects that they have over us, specifically with sperm.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
the reduction in sperm rate by like 50% every year.
Damn.
It's destroying our testosterone, destroying libido, destroying, like, everything is getting eradicated by plastic. And plastic isn't even good. Like, it was a scam to begin with. Like, we should have stayed glass the whole time.
Dude, it's so
It's a
funny.
scam.
It's so funny, man. It's
Not funny.
No,
I'm
slightly, slightly related, but not, dude. Do you remember?